And that's what they're going to do. And I say it tongue-in-cheek, but it's reality when you're this late in the draft, the last 10 picks, especially in a draft like this. First of all, you don't know who's definitely going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many unpredictable pieces of this one, especially in a draft where there's not a lot of givens. This isn't a draft that you see, 4 or 5 guys that you know are definite lottery picks.
Right.
I expect at least 2 teams in the lottery to trade out because they really aren't enthralled with anybody out there. There's no home runs here. And when you're at 24, there's about 3 or 4 guys that you like.
Yeah.
And you say, all right, well, we'll see who's sitting at 24 out of these 3 or 4 guys, and then we'll know. And then you rank all of them, much like they did with Amon Shumpert in 2011. They had Shumpert, they had Singleton. Both those guys were on their radar, and when they got the pick, both of them were there. And now the question was, which guy they liked better? Well, they knew which guy they liked better, so they made that pick. They picked Shumpert, even though a lot of people thought Singleton should have been the pick.
Yeah.
They ended up making the right move.
Yep.
I think you'll see the same thing this year. There'll be 2 or 3 guys they like. Personally, I like Nate Walters from South Dakota State. He's a point guard. He's a good playmaking guard. He makes players around him better. I think he'd be able to play a role off the bench. Now, he's not a change of pace kind of guard, but he can run pick and roll. He's a better shooter, I think, than people give him credit for. And a high IQ, hard worker, gym rat kind of player. If he's there, which I'm not sure he will be, that's a good pick. Another guy, Tony Snell from New Mexico, is a really good shooter. And again, what you're looking for is somebody who might be NBA ready in some facet of the game.
Right.
Shumpert was NBA ready as a defender, and we saw that. If you can find a guy who's NBA ready as a shooter who can come in and play right away, Norris Cole to me is a good example of a guy who may not have been a huge, name in the draft that year, but the Heat saw somebody that could be NBA ready, come off the bench as a change of pace guard because he was fast with the basketball, he was strong and explosive, and they could teach him the rest. And I think that's something that you look at. So Snell's a guy that can shoot it, who knows how to find a shot and can score. And when you need to spread the floor and open up the middle a little bit, they need to continue to surround Carmelo Anthony with perimeter shooters. We saw the Spurs. That's how they won.
Yep.
They had guys who could shoot the 3, and that's a big part of this game now. So I think that those are the kinds of players that you can see. Wing players, to me, you can't have enough of them. That's why Tim Hardaway Jr. is there. That's why Glenn Rice Jr. you'll see is another name because they're wing players, and you just can't have enough of them. That's 4 guys that I think, if they're there, it could be a couple more for all I know. But in my opinion, that's where I'd look, and we'll see what they do.
Here's an interesting question. Do you think J.R. Smith will be wearing a Knick uniform next year?
It's a great question. I think there's enough mutual interest that he will. I think for the Knicks, they know that they got great bang for their buck from him last year, even though the playoffs, he fizzled out.
Yeah.
I do think, you can't discount the full body of work that he gave you, and for the better part of the second half of the season, he was their second best player.
He was great.
You weren't expecting that. He's proven that he can score. I think they asked more of him than he could deliver, and I think that needs to be understood. But I think for him, a little unfinished business in New York. I don't think he liked the way things ended.
Yep.
I think he loved playing in New York, the location where his family lives in New Jersey. I think the fact that he's really embraced living in New York. He and Carmelo Anthony are close. Teams might offer more money, but if you were him, would you want to live in Milwaukee? I think if you had a choice.
I don't see JR in Milwaukee.
That's the thing. If you had a choice of making a little bit less, but you could play in New York with Carmelo on a team that will be in the playoffs, that could be, even more. I think a guy like JR, even though this could be, the best contract he gets offered, I just think for him, New York is the place. And then the other thing to think about, too, with JR is that he's played for 4 other coaches now.
Yeah.
3 other coaches, I should say, aside from Mike Woodson. 4 because of Mike D'Antoni. Is the one coach that really got through him and that he really feels like he can trust is Woodson, and Woodson's in New York. I think that helps him
Now, everyone's focused on LeBron possibly opting out of his contract after next season, but Carmelo could do the same. What do you make of that whole situation?
True. I mean, he does have the opt-out, and, he definitely could exercise it, and why not?
Mm-hmm.
I think, before that even comes, the Knicks and Carmelo can talk about an extension. That's probably more likely because, as we know, CBA, the Knicks can offer the most to him because they have his bird rights. He's their player. No other team can offer more than the Knicks can. The question is, it's about winning, and would he want to be a ring chaser? Does he get out and try to jump to another team that has a better chance to win a championship if he doesn't like the direction the Knicks are going in? I don't really see it, though. I think Carmelo came here with a purpose, and I don't think he likes to jump around. I think he likes to stay put. He's not somebody that really wants to move around too much. So my guess is, even though that is an option, I think he said it himself at the end of the season. He's going to be in New York for a long time, and I think that's exactly right.
Okay. Now, I'm interested to hear your opinion on this. What do you make of Jason Kidd retiring from the Knicks and then almost immediately taking the Brooklyn Nets head coaching job?
I think the Knicks should have done like the Celtics and maybe seen if they could trade him to the Nets.
Yeah.
And get something out of it, right? I mean, did you see what the Celtics did with Doc Rivers? You almost think, well, wait a minute.
Get a first rounder.
Right to him. Why didn't they try to trade him first and then let the Nets figure it out? But hey, look, it's a natural progression for Kidd. I think everybody called him a coach on the floor throughout his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
You knew he was going to be a coach in some capacity. I didn't know it was going to be this soon. The test for him is to see how quickly he can transition himself from being a player who's with the guys in the locker room, a different type of emotion, to now being a head coach who has to have discipline, who has to put in extra hours in the office, on the video.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be able to draw that line and say, I'm no longer a player. We don't have that same relationship. That's not easy to do. And we'll see how he handles it. But there's no question he has the mind to be a coach. I think he'll do fine as long as he can endure that transition from being a player and a teammate to a head coach with a much different mentality, especially with Darren Williams. I mean, they're friends, they're close, but there's going to come a time where he's going to have to challenge Darren Williams, and maybe Darren's not going to be happy about it. We'll see.
I think their relationship's going to be very interesting to watch. It's going to be good.
You're right.
All right, well, I'll get you out of here on this one. Who's going to win a championship first, the New York Knicks or your New York Islanders?
See, my heart wants to say the Islanders because actually somebody asked me this on Twitter one time, and I said, they said, well, if you had a choice, if you could pick one, who would it be?
Okay.
If somebody said, one of your teams will win a championship, which one do you want? And somebody also included the Jets. And so I said, I'm a glutton for punishment. I only root for teams that have no chance to win. I'm not a Mets fan, though, so I saved myself a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my head tells me the Knicks because of where they are financially, because, they do have the pieces to build towards something. It's a matter of course, some luck, health,
mm-hmm.
and, it's still adding to it. I just think they're a lot closer. They're a lot more along the way. And to be honest with you, I've seen 4 Islander championships.
Yeah.
Even though I was really young, I have seen it. And while it would be incredible to see an Islander Stanley Cup, especially for my son who's a big Islander fan.
Nice.
I have to say with conviction, though, I think if I had to choose between the two, I think the Knicks, because I've never seen it. And I'd love to see it, just to see what the city would be like, because there's 2 teams, there's 2 of everything.
Yep.
And I know the Nets now have moved into New York, but, I mean, really, there's still, the Knicks are the one unifying team in the city. And I just, what would it be like if they won a championship? I mean, how incredible would that be? I'd love to see it.
It'd be exciting, for sure, for the city. All right, Alan, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking some time to come on the podcast today. Thank you so much.
You got it, Tom. My pleasure.